Welcome to Volume 2 of Teamwork on the Shop Floor. In Volume 1, we took a look at a typical shop floor situation, which demonstrated the first steps towards real problem solving and eventual self-supervision as a team. In Volume 2, we will look in detail at essential troubleshooting techniques, which can get to the heart of workplace problems by encouraging teamwork, both in the analysis of the problems themselves and in the search for effective solutions. We hope that you will see how useful these techniques can be in helping to energize your workplace. The 5 basic areas of troubleshooting we'll deal with in this volume are 1. Problem-solving skills and self-supervision. 2. Sharing the problem. 3. Problem awareness and questionnaires. 4. Targets of improvement. And 5. Data feedback. Part 1. Problem-solving skills and self-supervision.
I encourage the staff to control the workplace themselves. I, too, used to think that the only form of management was top-down management. But my thinking was changed by the notion of self-supervision.
Mr. Takei's team basically control the workplace themselves. In other words, self-supervision. But can a manager leave everything up to his staff without saying anything? No, of course not. It's not quite as easy as that. Every workplace has a variety of problems and new assignments are coming along all the time. Self-supervision means that problems can be tackled effectively by everyone, although of course basic direction, coordination and final decisions remain the responsibility of the leader. But what are the basic qualities that everyone on the team needs to acquire the problem-solving skills required for self-supervision? The first is the ability to keep your ears and eyes open to changes going on outside the workplace. The second is the ability to obtain and digest information necessary for workplace management and problem solving. The third is the ability to find and acknowledge problems yourself, plus the willingness to solve them in a team effort. The fourth is the ability to establish a proper communications network to send and receive information as required. And the fifth is the ability to maintain good relations to ensure teamwork in problem solving. Effective problem solving is only possible with these 5 skills, plus, of course, a favorable working environment. If each individual in the team has the right attitudes and skills, then workplace self-supervision can become a reality. In other words, energizing the workplace involves clear intentions, careful planning, and the input of the whole team's problem-solving skills. Here again are the 2 vital points. Self-supervision involves the input of the whole team's problem-solving skills, and energizing the workplace requires deliberate, carefully planned application of this problem-solving ability. Part 2. Sharing the problems.
I think you've got the idea. But don't try to do everything all by yourself. You will have to play the main role, of course, but If you don't get the participation of all the members of the team, you'll never make much progress. What's very clear from the data is the lack of communication and trust between the bosses and the staff. So don't do everything from the top down. If you work with the whole team, you can create better two-way communication and build a more trusting relationship.
The first step in the troubleshooting process is to investigate workplace problems and share the findings together. As we have tried to show, one of the best ways of doing this is to hand out a questionnaire. There are three particular merits of using a questionnaire. 1, it can draw out the real opinions of each person. 2, it gives everyone an equal chance to make comments. And 3, it encourages a sense of participation. This is the questionnaire used by Mr. Suzuki. Of course, this is just a sample, but it gives a good idea of the type of questions which can produce the information you're looking for, including questions on the workplace atmosphere, workplace standards, and workplace relations. There are a couple of checkpoints to bear in mind when using a questionnaire. The first is to receive all complaints and general dissatisfactions with a positive attitude. They are in fact an indication of genuine feelings and definitely shouldn't be ignored, but regarded in a positive way as a source of energy input for the implementation of improvements later. The second point is to be careful to maintain the sense of participation which is encouraged by use of a questionnaire. This means that everyone should be involved in the process of sorting out the results of the questionnaire so that a real sense of involvement will continue through to the improvement stage. Just to repeat, 2 vital troubleshooting points are to receive all complaints with a positive attitude and to maintain the sense of participation. Part 3. Problem awareness and questionnaires.
Their behavior on the job site isn't based on abstract standards, but on how they feel about the things that go on every day on the job. And one more thing to remember is that although this data is often used just to show the present situation, it should really be used as a base to improve the whole workplace generally and change the attitude of the whole team.
Now let's consider the relationship between the real workplace situation and the survey results by looking at how everyone responded to question number 5. Do you feel you are welcome to point out problems frankly at your workplace? Most of the workers replied, no. On the other hand, the foreman clearly answered that they do welcome frank opinions about problems. Clearly there is a perception gap here. Or is there something else? Well, let's assume that a company does in fact strongly welcome its staff to present problems openly and makes a general announcement to that effect. In this case, which of these 2 courses do you think the workers will actually take? A. Point out problems frankly. B. Say nothing, even if there is a problem. Believe it or not, most workers will choose course B. Perhaps we shouldn't be too surprised. The management may think the workplace atmosphere is conducive to frank opinions, but the staff may feel that it is much safer to keep quiet and put up with the problems. This underlines the value of the questionnaire if you want to dig out real opinions. And also, as the results tend to show how everybody really feels about the situation, they are an invaluable base for improvements that can energize the workplace. Here again are the two vital points. Use the survey data to get the real opinions of your team, and make sure to use the data for future improvements, not just for present information. Part 4. Targets of improvement.
You've got to change your viewpoint. Now, if you think from another perspective, you can influence both your team's awareness and their behavior.
Another perspective?
Yes, you've got to try to grasp the reasons for the staff's behavior by looking at the organization, the team's ability, and also the general workplace atmosphere. Then you can improve teamwork.
Mr. Takei talked about another perspective, and what he meant was how to consider the targets of improvement. Let's take another look at the questionnaire. Question 9 says, communication up. Do you think your opinions are transferred upwards sufficiently? Clearly, most of Mr. Suzuki's staff thought there was no communication upwards. So what lies behind this kind of feeling? Well, there are several important points to remember. First, there may be no opportunity for the staff to express their opinions about problems. For example, at morning meetings, it is often the case that information is only passed down from above, and when he referred to another perspective influencing staff attitudes and behavior. And they're important points to bear in mind. But what are the solutions? The first point has to do with workplace organization. This problem can be solved by setting up better two-way communication channels. The second point is to do with staff ability. The problem can be solved by gradually upgrading the professional skills of the whole team. The third point is to do with workplace environment. An improvement in the general atmosphere will almost certainly increase mutual trust. Targets of improvement summary. Try to grasp reasons for problems from the three viewpoints of organization, skills, and general work environment. Part 5. Data feedback.
But what do we have to do next?
Well, the next thing we have to do is to give some feedback on the data to everyone. That means analyzing the data and having frank discussions all around. In other words, sharing the problems together.
Data feedback is a very effective method of getting the whole team involved in the sharing of problems, and also of increasing everyone's enthusiasm for finding solutions to them. However, there are a few points of procedure to be careful about.
Here are the results of the questionnaire. If I can say what I think, then I think the first...
Well, that's not a good way to begin. The first point is that you should avoid giving your own interpretation of the data at the start of the feedback meeting. Of course, you must make your own analysis and sort out the problems raised before the meeting. But it is more effective to gather the appropriate members of staff together and let them get involved in the interpretation process. Just present the raw data and save your interpretation for later.
Time is money. Come on, let's have some opinions.
The second point is more haste, less speed. In other words, you shouldn't rush things. Rather than forcing your own opinions, wait patiently until everybody feels ready to give theirs. Improvements can only progress smoothly if each member of the team feels they have a real part to play in the team's work.
That's what I think.
Well, that's not really a very important point.
That's obviously the wrong thing to say. The third point is that you should listen to all the opinions that emerge. Of course, you may choose to select certain individuals to present their views, but as far as possible, try not to nip growing enthusiasm in the bud.
But it's not just because of our lack of skill.
Are you suggesting my method's wrong?
This isn't a very clever way of talking either. The fourth point is that good leaders are always good listeners. It's important to remember that opinions that come up at meetings such as these reflect real feelings. Sometimes you might receive very negative comments or even direct criticism. But you should stay calm and neither ignore such comments nor argue back merely to assert your position. Such opinions are vital for improving the workplace situation, and your vital role is to maintain a suitable atmosphere by listening carefully and calmly.
Could we have your opinion now?
Well, it seems to me that the responses...
The fifth point is that you have to try and sense just when the team needs your comments or support. In principle, you shouldn't give your opinions until the others have spoken and you are asked by one of your team members. But, of course, this doesn't mean you have to remain silent.
The reason this figure's so low is because of what you wrote.
No, that's not really it.
I'm sure that's right.
Anyway, that's what it looks like.
Wait a minute. Let's regard this as a joint problem, shall we?
The sixth point is to treat every problem as a team problem. It's very easy to get into a position where a particular problem is taken up as a personal matter. But it is your job to control the general atmosphere of the meeting, and the only way to proceed effectively is to step in and remind everyone that you are discussing team problems.
Well, on question 9, although most people said...
Could you write this up, Miyamoto?
Okay.
The seventh point is to clarify all opinions and problem points, for example, by writing them up on the board. As we heard before, it takes courage to present opinions, and it may not always be done very clearly. However, it is important not to miss any idea brought up at a meeting, and it shows everyone that attention is being paid to them. Here are the main points for data feedback again. Don'ts. 1. Don't start with your interpretation. 2. Don't rush things. 3. Don't reject opinions. 4. Don't get emotional. Do's. 5. Only give your opinions when asked. 6. Treat every problem as a team problem. 7. Clarify all opinions. Let's face it, we all have problems. If you really think your workplace has no problems at all, then you're unlikely to progress very far. What we've tried to show in this volume is that the process of energizing the workplace begins with encouraging proper teamwork to root out problems and then using that information to start planning effective improvements. The secret is in getting everybody to express their opinions somehow or other and discuss them with everybody else. Many workplace problems all over the world are connected with person-to-person communication, and the very process of problem solving can in itself radically improve that most difficult of areas, human relations. In Volume 3, we will look at various types of